All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the 66-day habit challenge. We are so excited that you've decided to take some time tonight and join us on the webinar. We have several certified Optavia coaches that are on tonight that are going to be helping with this and giving you some tips and some ideas so that we can bring you into the new year. This is going to end, I believe, on the 1st, if I did my math correctly, maybe the 2nd. I'm not sure. You know what? It actually doesn't matter when it starts or ends. What really matters is that you are taking the next 66 days. So even if you're watching this in replay and you're not right here at 66 days until the new year, until the end of this decade, then that's okay. What we really are focusing on is creating healthy habits that will help us for the long term, creating these habits of health that we focus on as Optavia coaches. So I am going to introduce Chantel Flake, who is also a certified coach, to start us off. Chantel, are you here?
I'm here. I am so excited to be with you guys tonight and really end this decade with a bang. Really though, how exciting is that we can do that? It is the time to get healthy and really push forward. So I don't know if you guys have seen this meme right here. I totally had to laugh the other day. In just a few years, 1990 will be 30 years ago. When I think 30 years ago, I still think 1970. Anybody else with me there? Raise your hand if you're there. So Amber, will you just quickly explain to them just a little bit about what we are doing with this challenge here and how this is kind of blown up, just for a second?
One of the challenges we did was the 66-day challenge, and we even laminated it. So it's okay if you haven't laminated it, no worries. But it's really breaking it down. Anything that you want to create in your health, in your life, and it just has kind of gone a little bit viral. So I'm going to throw it back to Chantel to give us some more details on it.
You guys, these pictures, I am totally laughing. Like, I love this. This makes me so happy. It is, you guys remember the bucket challenge and like all those fun initiatives that you've seen online? This is the next fun initiative that we're doing, and really just to create awareness about healthy habits. So these you might recognize some of these people in the photos. I couldn't even fit all of the ones that I got. I received one from my sister out in California that she plays collegiate basketball and her whole team is doing this. You guys, just so many fun things. If you see different ages, genders, moms doing it with their kids, just really, really, really fun. So I'm really excited to be here with you tonight. Just a little bit about me. About 8 years ago or so, I really had a passion to help people with their health. I decided that this is something that I love. I was a fitness instructor, but I knew that fitness was only 1 hour of the day. What about the other 23? and I had a passion in helping people to transform their lives, their whole lives, not just that one area. And so that's why I actually became a certified health coach, and to be able to help people with their health. And this is a picture of me on the right, where I decided to take my health to the next level. And has anybody been there, like where you've just been kind of living the same way and you know, plugging along, and all of a sudden you get really inspired and you just want to level up? Well, this was me about 18 months ago. And it's interesting because I had a lot of motivation, and I had some willpower and said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get strong. And so I would wake, the only time, I have 5 kids, so the only time I really could do this was early in the morning. So I'd wake up early and go to the gym and really, really, really push it and work on my health. Well, I noticed about a couple months ago, right when I found out about the 66-day challenge, that I was kind of worn out, you guys. I was tired of having to put all of my willpower, and I was kind of white knuckling this. Maybe you felt like this way with your health or some area in your life where you're really good for a certain amount of time, but you're afraid at any second it's all going to blow up and you're not going to do it anymore, right? And so I felt that way, and I knew something had to change. And so that's actually selfishly why I'm doing this challenge and why I put it out to some of my friends, because I knew I needed help. If you've seen these 4 quadrants before, you know that this is the cycle that we want to happen. So let me explain it. It's a lot of words on this, so don't want to lose you. The purple is unconscious incompetence. This is basically when you have no idea that you have a lack in something. So maybe you don't really know that maybe you have high blood pressure, or maybe you have no desire to work out and you haven't thought about it in years. That's okay. You are in the purple zone. Just know you're in the purple zone. But sometimes something happens to make us more aware of this, right? Maybe, I don't know about you, but maybe you've seen a picture of yourself and you think, maybe that's something I want to change. Maybe you see a doctor and you have a doctor's visits where they tell you you're pre-diabetic, or something happens to where you feel like, you know what? This is something, it's something that is in your brain that is alerted. This is the conscious incompetence. So you're not yet proficient at changing, but you know you should change. So if anyone is in this zone, I want you guys in the chat to tell me which zone you're in. So if you're in purple or yellow, put that in the chat. Okay, we're moving into green right now. Green is conscious competence. You are able to do it, but with quite a bit of effort. This was me. This was me at the gym for 18 months. And you know what? It works. It does work. You can absolutely get healthy white knuckling it. But what happens when life happens? What happens when you've been doing that and you're just kind of tired of doing that? Well, sometimes we slide back. Sometimes that doesn't stick. So there is this genius zone. And maybe you've never known about this zone, but this is the blue zone. It's called unconscious competence. This is when you are performing that habit and it becomes automatic, that you don't even have to think about it. Have you ever been driving and you automatically just arrive at your destination and you didn't even think about it? Maybe you're on the phone or you're thinking deep in your thoughts. This is the way your brain works. Your brain has the capability of doing things automatically. And this is the section that I want to get to with working out. I've gotten here with a lot of other areas of my health, like water. I started in unconscious incompetence. I did not know that I was not drinking enough water, and I've moved through these with water. Other things like fueling my body 6 times a day. Amber's going to tell us a little bit more about that and a little bit more tips. So maybe kind of be brainstorming about the areas of your health that you want to take to the blue zone, the unconscious competence, that when that happens, it's magical and you know it's going to stick. Maybe some of you have started a diet before and wanted to change because you wanted to lose some weight. So maybe you're in the green zone and you have high hopes. You're like, yes, I'm going to change, but any day now I'm going to binge, or any day now, I don't know how much longer it can last, right? Yeah, let's not do that. Let's really focus on these habits and change at one micro habit at a time. So we're going to show you how to do that tonight. And this little quote that is in our life book, a curriculum that we teach our clients, it says, self-control is nearly impossible and unlikely to lead to long-term success. That's probably not what you were thinking you're going to hear tonight, because we think, oh, self-control, yeah, I got to have more of that. That's a secret, right? I got to resist more. No, this is not the secret. The secret is to make it more automatic so you don't have to do that self-control. Because if you're like me, And maybe you're a mom, you're a parent, you have a stressful life. And at the end of the day, my patience and my self-control is this big. And my brain starts kicking in, and I just do whatever's habitual at that point. So this is the secret. Again, we're moving to the blue zone. And this is what I want to talk about tonight, is just give you a few tips. Amber's going to come on and talk about how we help people transform their lives. And if you see here on the last line, one healthy habit at a time. Remember I always said, don't do a diet, don't do a short-term fix, but do change one habit at a time. So Amber, tell us a little bit more about how that works and your tips for people.
Absolutely, Shan. First of all, can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Earlier, I think some of them were having trouble. So here's my picture here, and I actually love to see this picture. I know sometimes when we see a picture when we used to be overweight and unhealthy and in a bad place, some of us want to just like hide and cover it up and never show anybody. But for me, it really reminds me of a place that I was in at that time, which very much was the unconscious incompetence at the time. I really just didn't even know how much energy I could have. I didn't realize that things that I was putting into my body and my habits and the way that I was treating myself were not the best things, that were really leading to habits of disease, were leading to pre-diabetes, were leading to high cholesterol, low energy, all these different things. And I'm holding, my oldest baby right there, and he's actually 18 years old now. So this was a while ago. But in the meantime, I lost 35 pounds. Yes. I lowered my cholesterol over 60 points. Yes. But the biggest thing that has really helped me are the habits that I've learned that help me to not just go on a diet, but really to be able to change those habits long term. So let's go to the next slide here. And I want to talk about anchors in your life that are going to help you. Because with this challenge, yes, we're providing this printout that you can print and you can follow the instructions, and it's going to help you a ton. But what we want to do is we want to help you have long-term success. And we have found that these 4 anchors are what really creates that. So if you look at the tree in the background, it's growing really a lot to the side. And this is a tree that probably had a lot of weather. Maybe it had a lot of, abuse on it, just like whatever, the elements, maybe animals. I have no idea while it was growing up. But what we want is we want to be able to anchor a tree so it can grow straight and be stronger. And the 4 anchors that we have found, the first one is having community. So if you're hopping on this webinar, if you're participating in our community, maybe you're in one of our Facebook groups, maybe you are a client, maybe you're just coming in and saying, what is this about? I just wanted to print this thing out and have fun. And that's okay. But when you do something as a community, your chances for success increase. So the follow-up webinar is going to be next month. You can join our community again. Mark this on your calendar, Monday, November 18th at the same time at 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain. So be sure that you join our community again next month. So that's the first thing, community. Second is our habits of health. And Chantel talked about our life book. And I encourage you, whether you are doing our full program or not, get a copy of Dr. A's life book. And you can ask the person who invited you how you get your hands on that, because we deep dive into these specific things that change your mindset, that you're not just relying on willpower, you're really changing what is up here, because that's what makes the biggest difference. The third is a health coach, and really having that one-on-one accountability with someone else is huge. It's so huge. And then the fourth is having an eating plan that really makes sense. Learning how to fuel your body, not just white knuckle it and not eat whatever the things are that you like to eat. We don't want to just do that. We want to fuel, we want to put good nutrition into our body, all of the things our body needs, the proper amount of carbohydrates and fats and protein and things like that. Instead of just saying, I can't eat anything, we want you to eat all day long, but good nutrition. And when you put those 4 anchors together, then you really set yourself up for long-term success. And that's what we do with OptiDS. So with this challenge, this is what you want to print out. And we will put the habit tracker link into the chat as well if you haven't gotten it yet, or you can get it from the person who invited you. But print this out. And this is what this is going to be based on, is choosing the habit. And we're going to explain how to choose your habit in a little bit. But right now, just be thinking of what area that you're wanting to choose. And let's go from there. So Chantel, anything else you want me to add?
That's so perfect. Thank you for sharing your story. You're the perfect example of that, of how this really can work, and how I love how you said taking it to where not just a 66-day challenge, but really seeing the vision of applying this to your life. So how it can change your life. This is powerful, you guys. So yes, this is the tracker. So at the top, it says it gives 7 areas of your life that you can work on. And you can pick one, pick any of them. A lot of us are doing health because that's a passion of ours. So pick that, put that start date on there. Now, I want to explain how you pick your micro habit. So you're going to pick your area that you want to work on, what category, and now we're going to get super specific about your micro habit. So on the right, I just screenshotted our life book. This is and you can see how I'm writing all over my life book. It's amazing. So this is not a very great slide. Hopefully you can still see it, but it says a micro habit of health is a habit that's small, easy to do, and almost impossible to fail at. Okay, how easy is that? It's crazy. I was just talking to my sister who had just had twins, and we were talking about this challenge, and she said, I don't know if I can do it. I'm just overwhelmed. I said, okay, no, we're going to pick something that it's almost impossible to fail at. Even a mother of twin newborns can do this. So when you pick your micro habit, I want you to think about maybe something that's even 5 minutes. So pick something. I listed a few things on the left side that you can do in any category, but really make it so that it is something very, very simple. And we're going to have Jared come on to explain a little bit about, on the days that you're feeling well or feeling really good, you can even add more. So this is the lowest common denominator of what you can do. Amber, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I think what you said is so key. Like, anyone can do this. I had someone else email me like, I really want to do it, but I'm just so stressed out. I just can't add one more thing. I'm like, no, that you don't understand it then. It's like, if your goal, let's say you want to work out, okay, then the lowest common denominator would be 1 push-up. Like, could you do 1 push-up? Like, even if you had the flu, you could do 1 push-up. And if you do 1 push-up, guess what? You get a check mark. And then you could do more than that, and then set like your plus. But Jared's going to go over this more, but I wanted to really make sure you understand right at the very common denominator.
Yes. Jared, would you mind coming on to explain the +1 and then also cue routine reward? Jared's going to set you up for success and give you some tricks on how to make this impossible to fail.
Okay, this is where most people jump the gun. Most people, they're just like, I want to be perfect today. Well, guess what? None of us are going to be perfect today. None of us are going to be perfect tomorrow or next month or next year. The most successful people in this world, to Chantel's earlier point, they automate as much as they possibly can. If you ever meet someone who's really successful in any area of life, go and ask them about their routines. They are going to make routines out of everything so that they don't have to think and exhaust that mental energy. So the +1, to Amber's point, if exercise is your habit that you want to focus on, your micro habit is 1 push-up. Where this came from was Dr. Anderson personally had a client who was in her upper 60s. Her goal was to be able to lose, I think it was about 80 pounds. And then as she started to lose that weight, her next goal was, well, the reason I'm getting healthy is because I really want to be able to pick up my grandchildren. She's like, I want to play with them. I want to be able to lift them up. And he's like, okay, what do you need to do in order to lift up those grandchildren? She's like, well, I need to get stronger. I need to start exercising. And he's like, okay, how can you get stronger? Now, if you hate to go to the gym, don't go to the gym. Find a different way. Find something that you love to do and that you're willing to do over and over and over and over. Because you may even be able to white knuckle going to the gym for a month or 66 days or something like that. But if it's not a long-term love or something that you are going, you know that you'll develop a liking for, it's just not going to last. So he said, what do you want to do? And she's like, you know what? I've always wanted to be able to do push-ups. And he's like, okay, fantastic. How many push-ups do you think you can do? She said, well, I could probably do 10. And Dr. A admittedly said that he laughed on his Zoom with her. And he's like, I want you to prove to me right now that you can do 10 push-ups. And she's like, what do you mean? Like on the ground, right? Like you want me to get down on the ground? So she got down on the ground, like out of her screen, and she couldn't do one. So he said, okay, have you ever done an incline push-up against a wall? So she goes over to the wall and she could do that. So he said, I want your micro habit to be one push-up against the wall. And as you get stronger, you're going to move to the stairs where you're a little bit more inclined. And eventually you're going to work yourself down to the floor. So she did that literally for months, a couple of months, before she was able to get down on the floor and do one. But within just a few months, she was able to do 5 or 10 consecutively. So at her worst, on that day that she's got the flu or she's so tired from all the things that she does normally in her life, one was the habit, the micro habit. On the days that she felt better, she would do 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. I still do this to this day with exercise and with a lot of other things in my life. Now, cue, routine, reward. There's another image of this that has actually 4 circles. And the cue is, this is where you automate things from the very beginning. For me, I have on my phone and in my Google Calendar, I have a dozen cues. Reminders to do things so that I don't have to waste the mental energy on remembering to do those things. I have payment reminders for stupid things that I have to pay that don't let me automatically pay them, right? And I don't want to have to remember, oh, what day does that due or anything? So I have a reminder in my phone. That's an example. So if your habit is, I'm going to eat every 3 hours, until you can remember that and your body is on that schedule, you simply set a reminder in your phone. The routine is, I'm going to do, if exercise is your thing, I'm going to do my 1 push-up. The reward, there are 2 different kinds of rewards. And most people will understand this first one, and that's immediate gratification. What is this going to do for you right now? That's important because that is how human beings are. The limbic system says, hey, what is this doing for me right now? So if the one push-up is, hey, I'm proud of myself for sticking to my routine. That pride is your immediate gratification. If eating every 3 hours, your immediate gratification is, I'm full. Okay? And then there's also the long-term reward, And that's knowing that as you build these instant gratifications and do these routines over and over and over, it's like one push-up is not going to improve your fitness, right? But if you do one push-up day after day after day, and you do the +1 on the days that you feel better, and you increase your strength and your endurance and all those things that come with fitness, over time, over months, you're going to see your body change. So you've also got to have that vision of what you're wanting to create long-term, and then what it's creating for you for your immediate reward.
Thank you so much, Jared. Is that not helpful? That is amazing. This right here is what I was personally missing in my routine of getting up and exercising. And I love how you explained that cue, and really you can pick any cue you want for that to trigger whatever works in your brain. For me, even just setting out my clothes the night before is what I needed to remind me of that routine. It can be an alarm or a phone. It can really be a lot of things. And then that reward. And the cool thing about this is it's that circle. This is what encourages you to continue to do this even beyond the 66 days. So thank you. Okay, we have Mike and LaCrua on to help us. What Jared was saying about that long-term reward, really just want you to take a minute to see it, to really think about how this challenge can fuel you for the rest of your life. Get ready for this to change your life if you let it. So Mike, can you explain a little bit more about that in your experience?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Shan. I was so excited that I got to talk about this because this is the thing that has gotten me so excited about this challenge and inviting people to do it with me and to be part of my group. Because really, when I was sharing it with other people, that was kind of my first thought. How is this going to contribute to their long-term success? And how is it going to help them after 66 days are over? How are they going to continue this habit long-term? And so what I really feel like that I'm passionate about as far as the challenge goes is that the micro habit is so powerful in the idea that if we can focus on just that one thing, that one push-up, like Jared was saying, or the 64 ounces of water, or the one sentence in our journal for that day, or whatever it might be, as we go through that process. And Chantel, to her point earlier when she was talking about the zones of consciousness, what I really picture in my mind with these 66 days is most of us, if not all of us, most of us right now are in the yellow zone, right? Where we are having to really put in the effort to remember to do that habit each day, whatever it might be. But as those 66 days progress, and we continue to put those checks in, and maybe on occasion we put a plus sign next to our check, I feel like you can almost imagine yourself moving from that yellow zone to that zone of, I am competent in this and I don't necessarily need to be conscious of it. That the 66 days is so powerful in its ability to move you to automaticity. That by the end of that 66 days, it's going to be automatic. And you're going to know, like Jared was talking about, that habit loop. You're going to know and understand that reward that you gain from that habit, and you're just going to do it every single day, right? So I love this chart because each of these little dots, I want you guys to look at this chart for a minute, and these little guys walking on the path. The one that's going downward, that's the most common path that a lot of society has today in their health. And I want you to picture, no matter what path you're looking at, I want you to look at each of those dots, and I want you to imagine in your mind that each one of them is a micro habit. Okay, so maybe this is your first micro habit that you've ever worked on. And as we string them together, what I found, and what I hope that all of us will find in this challenge, is that when we create one micro habit after another, it is leading us down a specific path, right? And sometimes, honestly, I'm sure you've had this experience. I know I have had this experience where I've created micro habits in my life where they weren't leading me down a path of health. They were leading me down a path of disease. And so as we're going through the challenge and as we're going through the 66 days, that's really important to focus on that and to think, is this something that's going to lead me down that path of health? Or is it something that's not really serving me? Which, if you're on this webinar, obviously, your micro habit is going to be serving you in some way and helping you to create a healthier lifestyle in one of those sections that's at the top of your chart. And as that happens, this is the really cool part that I just want to touch on really quick. As that happens, you begin to build trust in yourself. And you begin to build this confidence that maybe you never realized that you had before. And that you're able to say, you know what? If I can, obviously mine's 64 ounces of water a day right now. If I can drink my 64 ounces of water a day, if I can make that a habit, I can do anything. I can create any habit in my life, right? Does that make sense? So the more and the more that you build that confidence and that trust in your ability, that's how it's going to make those long-term changes. That those little things that you do each day is going to build that self-efficacy within you to believe that you can accomplish anything in your health. So I want to bring on my client and one of my dear friends, Larry Warren, who I got to walk this journey with. And she's going to tell you a little bit about how it really does, like anything you're trying to achieve, whether it's large or small, it really does start with that one small habit, and how she was able to open her mind to the idea of, as I improve on each of these micro habits, it is not only leading me down a path of health, but it's really helping me to be successful long-term and have something that she's built that's incredible in her life. So Larry, go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike. And it's fun to look at these pictures that are posted right here, because that was 3 years ago that I started this journey, and I had a lot of years of being stuck in some really bad habit loops. Some of which were things like trying things like not eating. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, trying not to eat because you're so frustrated with trying to get weight off or make changes, and then being really hungry, and then getting so hungry that I couldn't resist whatever I found in the pantry or in the freezer, and just like diving into that, and then feeling a lot of guilt and shame, and then that making me dive into everything even more, and just creating these horrible loops and of frustration, and just really a lot of years of looking for answers. And so at 50, I found a program that really got me out of years of a diet mentality habit loop, and really focused on the habits that I was learning to make changes that were going to help me be healthy for the rest of my life. And so you can kind of see, like, from October to January in 1 year, a lot of changes happened. But then over the next 2 years, I've been able to just continue to refine those habits. And I love that people have talked about eating 6 times a day, because I would say that is one habit that I have definitely gotten into that place of unconscious competence, that my brain tells me when it's been 2.5 or 3 hours, it's time to eat, go eat. And I just do it without even thinking anymore. And that is huge, because that is helping me so much in my life now to be able to continue those habits. And there's a lot of other things that I'm still working on. I'm so excited for the habit challenge, because it's going to be a lifelong process to continually work to that place of optimal health. But I have come so far, and so much farther than I thought was possible at this age. And so I just want you to know it's never too late. It's never too early to start working on on changing just one habit at a time. And as you get one win under your belt, then you get excited about the next one, and then the next one, and the next one, and they just start building up into something really big that makes a big change in your life.
Laurie, that is absolutely incredible to hear your story about how that's worked for you real life. Like, I have watched Laurie's journey as well, and it's so powerful that she changed the trajectory of her life. Can you even believe this? She was on that path, that lower path, and she, at 50, so maybe that's like the third line down or so, right? And she took that and she changed that. So proud of you, Laurie. So proud of you. So Amber, do you want to talk a little bit about, how, when these changes happen, and when you're having all of those wins, like Laurie says, how you're building that, how that is so contagious?
I think that there's several huge secret weapons here. One of them is, Laurie talked about eating 6 times a day. And, talk to the person who invited you onto this webinar to make that simple. Because when I first heard that, like, you should eat 6 times a day, I was like, yeah, I'll get around to that sometime when I'm not busy, right? So really, we have to break these things down. It has to be simple so that you can't fail. And that's what we do with our program. So talk to the person who invited you, do a health assessment. But here's the other secret weapon that I've seen in my life personally, in really cementing these habits, these micro habits that we're doing for 66 days. Okay, you have to sometimes have some skin in the game, so you're going to go past the 66 days. You have to be part of the community and committed and really like at a higher level, and that's paying it forward. That's helping somebody else. If you've ever heard of any sort of 12-step program, the 12th step is always to sponsor someone else, to help somebody else, be that accountability partner. And that's what coaching is. We're not perfect. We're not supermodels. We're not, whatever. Although I do know a supermodel who is a coach, by the way, but I don't know very many. Most of us are just honestly just working on these things for the long term. So if you're thinking like, boy, I know some people who could really benefit from this webinar, from this challenge, you're already starting to think of ways to pay it forward. You're already like, who's going to watch you do this challenge? Post on your Facebook. We're going to give you a hashtag in a little bit. But coaches are 5 times more likely to reach and maintain a healthy weight long term. This isn't rocket science, guys. And what I love about our community, this is one of our mission statements. It says, we are for a growing community of people who are ready to take personal responsibility for their optimal well-being in life. That's what we do here. We're saying we're taking this personal responsibility. It isn't my mom's fault that I eat the way I do. It isn't my dad's fault that he gave me some, specific genes, or it isn't society's fault that there's a McDonald's in every corner. This is me deciding that I'm going to take personal responsibility, and I'm going to break these things down to the lowest common denominator so I can't fail, and create consistent action that creates habit. So what's your next steps? So first of all, connect with the coach who invited you on, because if you're not a client already, we want to do a health assessment. We want to see where you're at. Maybe our program's a good fit, maybe it's not. The only way you're going to know is if you do that health assessment. And then number 2, print your PDF. So if you don't have your game board yet, you haven't found it in the email when you registered, or your coach hasn't sent it, or you didn't find it on the Facebook page, or you didn't see it on this webinar, it's okay. There is still time. And then also you're going to want to register for prizes. So this link right here, and we will put these in the chat as well, is how you can register for prizes. And right after the new year, we're going to give you a week. It's not going to be like you got to finish by this minute or something, but we're going to connect back up with you. We're going to say, how'd you do? And then you get to say, if you followed it, you did your check mark, because your lowest common denominator, this is mine, meditation is mine, okay? And my lowest common denominator literally is 5 deep breaths, okay? I did it before this webinar. And I was like, I get my check mark. Now, if I meditate for my full 15 minutes, which is my plus amount, I get to put a plus. So I can do 5 deep breaths where I'm really concentrating. Like I can do that any day. I just need to do it. I'm going to create this habit of meditation. So here's your hashtag, 66-day habit challenge. So what would happen if you wrote a Facebook post, took your own picture like this, and put it on your status and said, hey, who wants to join this with me? It is not too late for people to do this challenge with you. We're going to have the recording of the webinar out and see who of your Facebook friends want to be part of your community. This is free, you guys. What do you have to lose other than maybe a few pounds?
Thank you so much for joining us for this challenge. I can't wait to see your hashtags. I can't wait to see your photos and to see how this really propels you in your life and your habits. So thanks, everybody.